So today I let my manager, the store owner, know for the very first time what I do outside of work. And I wouldn't have brought it up had he not brought it up. He's like, oh, so you have a second job.
And I can only assume that maybe
My direct manager, my female one, must have told him like, hey, River may not be able to like do weekends or something like that. I can only assume because the way that he brought it up,
he made it seem like
he made it seem like he worded it like, if you can't work weekends, then so he said something about needing quality employees. He's like, her job, our female manager, is supposed to ensure that there's, I think, whatever number staff available, shifts available. And but he kept kind of jumping around between like mentioning like, oh, your other job. And that's when I was just like, do you know what I do? And he's like, no. But I gave it the okay go because I'm like, again, how he's wording, how he kept saying like, well, if your other job, pays more or is, or maybe this place is better, what would I say? Better environment. And that's when I was just like, all right, why don't you go ahead and tell him what you do? And so that's when I asked him, like, you do know what I do, right? And he's like, no. And yeah, I was just like, yeah, I'm a dancer, so I make about $200 an hour on a good day. And he got real uncomfortable. He's like, I don't know, like, what my employees do, like in their personal life, is what he said. And I corrected him. It's this job. It's a job. And he's like, right. And so obviously now that's opened that can of worms. And we continued doing work, and then it seemed to have bothered. Obviously, yes, it did bother us for you to approach us and to try to give us an ultimatum, to try to make it seem like, better environment or better pay. And it's like, in a man's point of view, they would probably go for the better pay, which in that case, when I was like, $200 an hour is usually on a good day, it really made him very uncomfortable, like we had stated earlier. And again, he was creeping in that discomfort level when he was approaching us anyway, trying to confuse Pixie about like the shifts. And I don't know, he was just saying stuff that was kind of like, I don't know, you're telling me what her job is to do while trying to, but then also when I had told him like, well, knows about this, and then he was trying, I have so much that I want to call out and say. I don't mean to interrupt y'all. I know you guys can see like my thought bubbles. It comes out like, obviously you can't see our extraterrestrial like beings when we surface, but we can feel the energy. Snapchat can pick it up. I could tell he kind of backpedaled quite a bit when he was like, oh, so you just can't close on those weekends. And it's like, yeah, like we need to be at our job by like 11. So he's like, okay, so you need to be out by like 10. Like, yeah. So it went from that ultimatum of needing to decide between what pays better, what's a better environment, to oh, that could work. I go back to doing silverware, and apparently they didn't want us to stop there. So let's see, I was putting the knives away, and I was like, I don't know if you ever knew this or not, but I have split personalities. And he was like, what? No, didn't know that. And I was like, yep. And obviously I didn't say this, but I'm going to interject. The reason why we wanted him to understand and know about the split personalities is because we don't need him judging the rest of our system based off of some of our jobs. It's not like he's interacting with the stripper. Because obviously when I told him, I immediately saw that he made him uncomfortable. The first thing he said was, oh, well, you seem like a very smart person. I wanted to tell him, like, it didn't make us a dumbass, but I didn't, because I didn't. But that's always like usually the go-to is when you tell someone like, I'm a stripper or a dancer, they immediately like, oh, but you're so smart. Yeah. You make $100 and $200 an hour, that's pretty smart. So already he was very judgy. But we didn't say anything. Where are we going with that? Sorry, this is Bunny very much interrupted because I couldn't say it then. I feel like I can say it now. It's our platform. I don't think he quite got like the reason why we kept going with it. Like they kept being like explaining more because he was immediately like, I don't want to get to know like my employees and what they do outside of work. But then I kept pushing, and I was just like, yeah, so with the personalities, I want you to know there's 28 of us. And you don't, like, interact with all of us. I want you to know that we each have our own names, we each have our own jobs. The whole purpose of me telling him this was initially just to let him know that what happens here at this job, obviously he says, I don't care what you do outside of this work environment, but clearly he does because it's affecting this work environment.